going to tell you about trends that are not necessarily perfect for staging, but it's important for us to be able to speak the language of the trends and just know what is out there, what's coming. I want to just tell you that I used two different kinds of photos because copyright laws can be so restrictive. I only used photos of our work and photos of AI. So, because I wanted to show you some pictures, but I couldn't just like take it off of Pinterest. What I did was I looked at pictures on Pinterest and then told Canva's AI generator to recreate the photos. Some of the photos are like not quite perfect in their computer generation, right? So there's like, you'll see it in a few places, but the idea is there. Okay, so this is examples. These are AI generated images. I don't think the chairs go all the way to the floor. They're a little bit floating, but you get the idea. So one of the popular searches right now is this dark cherry red, and we're seeing it specifically in the search term cherry bedroom, dark red bedroom, dark red room aesthetic. Now, you're probably not going to go out and buy purple velvet chairs, but this is an opportunity to kind of see, okay, how can I bring some of these colors into my staging? Also, for any of you that are doing Airbnbs, this is really helpful because you can do some of the stuff in an Airbnb. In fact, my husband and I added another Airbnb to our portfolio, and it's a tiny cabin in Western North Carolina outside of Asheville. And this picture was my inspiration. I got it from Jason Saft, in one of his stories. It's just a screenshot of one of his stories. And when I saw this, I was like, this is the vibe for the cabin. Just this like moody vintage library look. Those were my words for the cabin. He used a Faro and Ball color called brinjal. Beautiful color. I used Sherwin-Williams instead, deep maroon. But you can kind of see this deep purple is trending right now. And another way that that's coming out is actually in the motif of cherries. So, how many of you guys saw bows in 2024 everywhere? Like bows in people's hair, bows in, I saw sconces with gold bows. And if you went to any of the furniture markets, you probably saw some bows in design there. That was kind of the 2024 motif, and I think you're still going to see a lot of bows going into 2025. But I think the next iteration of bows is cherries. So you're going to start seeing that on prints, on all kinds of different things, but also the color of cherries. We're not talking about cherry red, we're talking about dark cherry red. I saw a bedroom or several bedrooms on Pinterest that looked very similar to this, and I put the description of those bedrooms into AI, and this is what it came up with. So, you know, it's like a weird bench thing here, but you get the idea. We're gonna see cherries in on wallpaper, on pillows, all that kind of thing. This red lamp might be like a little bit more bright, but you are gonna see painted furniture as well. That's gonna be a new thing. You're gonna see some more American farmhouse style a little bit, and some gingham. And here it is kind of mixed in with bows and that kind of motif. The next style inspiration, and these all come from what the top trending searches are in Pinterest. So this comes from what Pinterest is saying people are moving towards is the Rococo period. So this inspiration is like very French, over the top, feminine maximalism. We've seen a lot of grand millennial over the last couple of years. That style has been very popular, and I think that's still in, but maybe just like a little bit of a shift closer to French style. So think, if your grandmother was French, or Marie Antoinette, we're not going to leave any house looking like this blue and pink room. That's not staging. Now, we may use this inspiration for a Airbnb, but what we can do is look back. These are some houses that we staged in 2024. You can see that this inspiration, it was already starting to trickle into some of our stages. So these are two houses in a specific neighborhood that is a little bit more traditional. And some of you may look at this and go, this is not in my area at all, right? Some of you may ha not have any architecture like this, or the style may never show up, but it's good to kind of just know where it's coming from. And I think we're trying not to be boring, right? So as stagers, we have had a push towards really recognizable branding, and efficiency can be maintained when you have like all cream furniture and things like that, where everything goes with everything. And there's definitely a case to be made for that, a business case to be made for that. And I can see that sometimes when we lean too heavily into that, things start to get a little bit boring. And for us, we've realized, the all cream look can, if the house is also all cream, then there's no contrast, and there's no interest. So this next trend that we're seeing is playful maximalism. So just not taking things so seriously, having a little bit of fun with your design. It's active, and I think that that goes along with this play that I saw in the trends. Also, we're seeing just mixes of prints. Most of us kind of go, okay, I can put one print in the room and that's it. But we can make things a little bit more interesting when we mix things. So fun is on trend. And these are photos that I took in Vegas this summer. Literally, games on coffee tables and in game rooms and things like that. Notice there's not a whole lot of color here, but just this idea that you're going to have fun in this house. Another trend we continue to see is color drenching, so making the walls and the ceilings all one color. We're also seeing contrast trim, where you might have like cream walls, but then making the trim dark cream. And then pattern drenching. We're not just doing color drenching now, we're doing pattern drenching. So dramatic drapery and drapes that match wallpaper. That's one thing that we talk about in staging, is like, take the drapes down. We want to see the view. And we want the light to come in. All that is still true, but we may have a few more exceptions to that rule now. But again, minimalism, tons and tons of just like all creams, and these are specifically the coffee tables at forehand, the coffee table books at forehands. I was struck by there was zero color in any of the coffee table books. Sometimes that's a place where we like to bring in color. And so it's one of those, forehands as a whole look in and of itself. A lot of us are trying to shift more towards the forehands look, I think, in staging, but there's a place for a little bit more fun. Terracotta, we're seeing a lot of terracotta pots. Okay, this is one that you're going to have to really use your imagination for, because I could not get AI to work with me. But what we're seeing is clustered coffee tables. But kind of more nested and three of them. We're seeing a lot of that look, which again, maximalism for sure. That's three coffee tables, not one. You could look at it that way, but you could also look at it from a business sense. You can use one or two or three, and you can have, the different sizes. They're easier to store, they're easier, lighter to move when it's just one instead of one massive one. There's kind of trade-offs a little bit, but that is kind of a newer thing. We had a bunch of nested coffee tables, but they were like glass. The nesting look has been in for a while, but we're seeing they're moving away from like metal and glass to almost like a paper mache look or a marble, honed marble, that kind of thing. Obviously, you don't want to have all marble in you're not going to move a marble table, but the next is bench seat sofas. So another excellent way to elevate the look of your inventory is start buying bench seats. So what I mean is not separate cushions. See how it's like all one cushion here? Another look that we're seeing is canopy beds and four poster beds. So again, this like American antique look, colonial farmhouse is kind of still in, it's like moving from farmhouse to like colonial almost. But real antiques are really popular right now. Now, again, for staging, this is probably, this bed is probably unrealistic. Your team is not going to want to put this together for every move. Unless you are like in a price point of home where it somehow makes sense. Another reason why we don't use poster beds usually for staging is that it's beautiful in photos, but in person it can kind of block a room a little bit. You have to have a really big room for it. But you can kind of take that look, and like the alternative to that is a bed like this that's got that look, but it's not blocking the room. Okay, this is a fun one, is round stools. So great for stagers because these stools are easier to store, they're easier to use. So this is a living room that we did. These stools are on Amazon. So round stools, excellent at the foot of beds. We're seeing benches still at the foot of beds, but they're getting longer. So shorter benches are looking a little bit like, again, that maximalism. It's not you're not putting multiple benches in, you're just making it like a little longer. And then in a way, these stools kind of fill up the space without they're really inexpensive usually. So that's great. Extra long lumbar pillows. Again, look at how this is not an AI generated, this is real. The longer bench, the longer lumbar pillow. These are, you can get these off of Etsy. And notice also on here, we bought these nightstands or side tables, consoles. And at the time that we bought them, we bought them from Sagebrook this summer, and it was like, oh, that's a little bit more on the pricey side. But this picture, we've gotten so much use out of this picture because we've used it in ads. Sometimes splurging just a little bit on those statement pieces it makes the whole thing interesting. Vote time is Sherpa and boucle over. They're not as great for living, but they're really great for staging. I can tell you it's still very much in the markets. It's still what's being sold in all of the stores. So especially those of us in the middle of the country, we're gonna be able to get probably 2 or 3 more years of usage. So again, it's okay to buy some of this stuff and then, get a couple years out of it and then sell it especially if you're getting good wholesale prices. So we're seeing it in boucle and Sherpa and teddy bear, all of that just really thick texture is awesome. These are some examples from market. You're seeing not just in creams, but in some darker tones as well. Notice though the white is kind of out. We're just seeing like the whites getting warmer. And shag rugs are back, not looking for any sheen in it. And another thing that is going out or shifting to what's trending to what's going out is the look of everything new. We want to mix in some found items and not have anything feel cold. You can see a stage we did where we added some antiques and some like, this is furniture that we've had for 17 years that's now very cool. So this is going to be kind of an interesting thing. Art Deco is both going out and coming in. Art Deco in as we've seen it of this like glam, the channel velvet channel tufting that was like super in and maybe like 2018. That stuff is all going out, but the furniture that would have been made in the era of Art Deco is in. So what's going out is the imitation Art Deco, and what is in is the like authentic Art Deco. Does that make sense? Okay, so some rapid fire ins and outs. Black and matte metals are in, shiny metals are going out, browns are in, grays are trending out. Cheetah, not zebra, paper mache over like glossy, shiny faces. Bench seats over multiple cushions. We already talked about that. Tassels are in, nail heads are out. Leather is really on trend right now. Cool tone velvet is out. Yes to the creams, no to the pure whites. We're seeing a lot of toned marble. Muted tones are in, bright colors are out. French antiques are in. We're getting a little bit tired of the mid-century modern look. One of the things that really we're seeing less of is like the legginess of furniture. So think like chairs with where you can see a lot of legs. We're seeing a lot of furniture, sofas and chairs and stuff are getting more grounded. So skirts on chairs and things like that. And raw finished wood. We're seeing a lot of that. And it's a good reminder, again, when your inventory is ahead of the competition, your pricing can be too. If you're refreshing your inventory, you need to also be refreshing your prices. And then these are from Amazon. We found these this last year. They're back in stock finally, and they're $78. They also have a black version with white boucle. I think this is linen on these. And then their black version has boucle. We have both and we've used them a ton. This ottoman, $44. All right, and that is it. This is always a talk that I look forward to every year. They're so fun.